Hey everybody, welcome back to Speedrun's Garage. Today will finally be the day that I get and install the steering components and the dream beams from DJM back on this 1979 F100. So let's get started. Alright guys, one of the first components I want to put back on is the steering box. I already chased the threads and everything after painting it. Got my hardware all cleaned up. So let me go ahead and get this thing put back on. Alright guys, I like to get all three of these bolts kind of loosely started right here. And I'll get and tighten them all up. All right, this is going to be the next piece going back on. It's the bracket that holds the brake line. It goes right here. Luckily for me, the later models, I guess, had bolts instead of rivets, so it's going to be a lot easier. Now, the passenger side did have rivets. That's the reason why it didn't get removed. Did feel like drilling all that out and everything just to remove that bracket. So let me go ahead and get that put on, and I'll be right back. All right, got the bracket back on there, so let's move on to putting the radius arm brackets back on. And you should be able to not mess these up because they got an LH and an RH right there, so you know which side they go on. Got some new hardware, so let's go ahead and get those put back on there. All right guys, like I said, these are marked left hand, right hand. I'm on the driver's side right now, so go ahead and start feeding these back through their hose. All right. Really see what I'm doing right now. Okay, get that one started. All right, got one more to go. This is the kind of the fun part of the build is when you start putting things back together. Spend all this time getting everything cleaned up, paint it. That's about how it's going to go. I'm going to go ahead and get that tightened down and move over to the next side and get that done. All right, I got them all torqued down, everything. I put a little bit of paint on everything. That's just why it looks probably a little shiny right now. Painted the bolts and everything in here, trying to keep them from rusting and everything. I like to leave them just the hardware color, but you know they're going to rust over time. All right, that leads us to, I guess, start installing the I-beams. So what I'm going to do first is kind of go over a couple of things that it says to do that I didn't, because I didn't know I was going to get and actually do a DJM kit. So let me go ahead and show that to you. All right, guys, as you can see, it says important. Do not skip this step. I'm going to get and skip this step because I didn't know I was doing a DJM kit when I took my front suspension off. So I'm going to have to hope for the best on that, I guess. And when you're trying to figure out which beam goes to which side, you lay them out like this. And you can see it kind of V's right there. You want it tilted towards the rear of the vehicle. And the one that's tilted towards the rear of the vehicle should also have the counterbore in it, like that. This is what the other side looks like. Just a flat hole right there. So like I said, you want it tilted towards the back with the counterbore. And also you're supposed to put some grease on those bushings and everything down there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll get and be back in a minute. All right, guys, I'm over here on the passenger side to install the I-beam that's for the driver's side spindle. So let me go ahead and get this up into place. Slid in there pretty easy. It is a nice tight fit. Sure, that grease helps a lot. Okay, got that side installed. Now I'm just putting the bolts back in the way I took them out. I don't know why, if there's a reason, but um, my bolts had one. The nut was towards the back on the passenger side, and on the driver's side, it was towards the front. And I don't know why, but I'm just going to go ahead and put it back that way. All right, I'm going to leave that loose for right now. I'm going to go ahead and go over to the driver's side and get that side done. All right, guys, I'm over here on the driver's side now. And like I said, all I'm using is this caliper grease. It says it's good for high temperatures and everything like that. So I think it'll be pretty good for this. Plus I can use this brush and get it worked in there. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this one kind of installed. I like putting these on this little foam right here because I can scoot it across the concrete and everything and scratch everything up. Seems like you gotta have this just at the right angle. I got lucky on the other one. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of a harder time this time. It's pretty tight. Went too far. Yeah, it's good that it's this tight, but like I said, it's still fitting. Well, it makes me feel good that I got this on a lift and not on the jack stands. And I'm gonna put a little more grease on it. Maybe it'll help it slide better. So I got it in there, but it went too far. All right, I got it really close for if I don't overshoot it again. Yeah, this one right here is a lot tighter. Well, hope it's like in a bind or something. Okay, there it went. I think it's lined up pretty good right there. It's pretty close. All right, got that one in. I'm gonna do the same thing, just put the nut on there, leave it kind of loose. Then I think the next step is gonna be getting the radius arms on there. All right, I'll be back. All right, guys, this is the part number for the Moog radius arm bushings I ordered. I actually had to send back the first set because they were wrong. They said they were for my Euro truck, but they were like a different style of bushings. Like I got and found the style that it's actually used on. It was more like a stamped bracket that I don't know if they gotten changed bracketry at the end of the year, but they did not fit my radius arm bracket. So this is the, like I said, the number that I had to order after I got and found out there was a different style. All right, guys, what I'm gonna do now is put the retainer and the bushings on the radius arms. Pretty easy job, just slides right on there. This is going to probably feel like a brand new truck when I get and drive this. I know the think it was the driver's side was really wore out on the bushings. Looked like somebody replaced the bushing on the passenger side at some point, but all the bushings I've been going back with have been polyurethane. All right, now that I got these on there, what you'll do is take this one and put it this direction through that bracket, and then your flat washer and your nut. All right, let me take this over to the truck and get it on there. All right, guys, probably somebody who's been screaming at their TV for a while, and let me show you what I found that you probably already knew, but if you don't know, you won't make this mistake. All right, guys, as you can see, I got the radius arm on the I-beam. I started out trying just to slip the bushing through the bracket there and swing it over and put it on the I-beam. Yeah, there's not enough room. So I tried to put it on the I-beam first, and then stick it into the bracket. Still not enough room. So I should have left that bracket off to last, but I don't feel like taking it back off. What I'm going to end up doing is pulling that bolt back out that I left loose down there at the other end, and put the radius arm in the bracket, and then push it that I-beam back up in that slot and put the bolt back in. It's probably a little bit more work, but you know, it's doable. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get this bolt put on this radius arm. Um, I got the bolt out on the other side, so it might drop, but I got a stand underneath it, so it's not gonna drop down too far. But I'm gonna go ahead and just put a stand on this side. All right, and I wanted to get in touch on these bolts real quick. They are a specialty bolt, not something like you just go to the hardware store and get. So if you can't get yours out and you think I'll just cut it off and go down to the hardware store and get a new one, yeah, you're not going to find one with the threads as long as these. Because I looked, because I ended up messing up one of my bolts. Because I got one bolt out real easy, but the other one, it fought me. And then I tried using an angle grinder to cut the nut, but I got into the threads, so I ended up going to the salvage yard and getting one, which is not fun trying to do that out in the salvage yard. All right, just slide that through and then just put the bolt on. Nothing really hard about that. I can get the hole lined up. Okay. Okay, got that one already. Go ahead and do like I did last time and lift these up so I can get that I-beam out on the other side. All right. Go on that side and see if I can't get that I-beam out from the little slot right there. Already got the, like I said, got the bolt out. It came out pretty easy, and I did find out reason why those bolts now are going different directions. All right. Yeah, it's in a bind, kind of like that side was. So let me work on this, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, got everything back together. It was no big deal, really. It did fight me a little bit, but I was expecting this side too because it fought me a little bit last time because it was a little bit tighter getting that bolt in and stuff like that. But like I said, I figured out why the bolts go the directions they do. It's because the I-beams themselves. I'll show you that real quick. Um, like I said, right here, the head is really close to the I-beam, but if you had the threaded side on there, you'd be really hitting it. So that's the reason why they're done that way. So when you get put yours together, just make sure you run them that way, and you shouldn't have any problems. Um, Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and tighten the radius arms up and everything, and then I'm going to get and start putting the bolt and everything on the nut on this boat and stuff for the radius arm. Uh, so we're getting closer to getting the springs and everything back on there. All right, guys, I got the radius arms torqued down. I think I did about 100 foot-pounds. It said 80 to 120. So those are done. And I got the I-beams themselves torqued down to about 130. I think it said 120 to 150. So I put it about in the middle in the way. So let me go ahead and get the nuts and everything to put on the bolt that holds the radius arm onto the I-beam. All right, guys, I got the radius arm torqued down to the I-beam. I think it was about 180 foot-pounds I torqued it down to, and I also installed the brackets for the shocks. It bolts down right here in this area. You got two bolts, and they're about 90 foot-pounds. Unfortunately, that's all I can do for this evening because I forgot that I need a spring depressor. Because when I got and took the springs out last time, I didn't need them because the former owner got and cut a couple of coils off, so they just basically fell right out. So, like I said, I'm gonna call it a night, and I'll go by O'Reilly's or something like that tomorrow and get me a spring depressor. All right, guys, it's next day, and my neighbor let me borrow his spring compressor. It's not one of the safer type. It gets and clamps it on the outside. I'm gonna try it. If I feel like it's unsafe, I'll get and go rent the one from O'Reilly's because I think it goes from the inside. It'd probably be a little bit easier too. But first thing I need to do is put this little retainer piece right here. You just slide it over the boat right here, and then you'll get put your spring on. Then there's another piece to the retainer. This right here goes on like that, and then you put another nut on it after you get the spring in it. All right, let me go ahead and get that spring compressed. And like I said, you might see me with a different spring compressor if I feel like this is going to be unsafe when I come back. All right, guys, I feel like I got a grenade here without the pin in it. Um, these things scare me, and I think before I do the next job that involves springs, I think I'll probably either order or go buy O'Reilly's or something and get me a spring compressor because these things make me really sketchy. Yeah. I tried it a while ago. I was just lacking just a little bit, being able to get it up there where the coil spring gets in the rest. I'll probably put you on a time lapse for right now because I need to concentrate on this. I think I would understand that because this is really dangerous right here. Hey guys, I got the spring in on the driver's side. I felt a lot better once I got that retainer uh, on there with that nut and the other clamp that goes on the top. That's one thing I like about this old Ford that has kind of the safety features right there once you get the springs on. Um, I'm sure they had to have them like that because these I-beams, I'm sure, get a lot of flex. They probably would just shoot right out of there because it happened to me when I brought the truck home. That clamp was broken on the top, and I guess when I unloaded the truck, it bounced, and that spring actually popped halfway out. It didn't come completely out, and probably what kept it from coming completely out was that retainer on the bottom. But I'll show you what that looks like right here. I said this right here goes on top of the radius arm bolt, then the top, and then you got your retaining nut, and then this is the clamp that goes on the top of the spring and your bolts. And I'll show you what it looks like on the car or truck anyway. I don't know if it'll focus in, but I'll try. Right there's your um, little clamp on the top, and like I said, you got your uh, retaining cap right here and your nut. Like I said, once I got those on there, I felt pretty good about, especially removing the coil spring depressors. All right, I'm gonna knock out the other side, and I'll be back. All right, guys, it's been a couple of days since I've been in the shop. I went to the paint swap meet on Friday, looking for some parts and stuff like that. It was my first time going. It's a pretty good swap meet. I didn't really find what I was looking for, but had a pretty good time. I think I spent $15, and then plus gas and food, stuff like that. Actually, my buddy went down there, expected not to spend no money, and spent more than I did. But that's how it goes sometimes. It's hit and miss, especially when you're looking also for Ford stuff. They had plenty of Chevy stuff down there, but looking for Ford stuff, it was kind of a hit and miss on those boosts. What I want to do right now, real quick, is get the Pitman arm back on this truck. That's right here. Pretty simple. Just line it back up with some grooves. I didn't move the steering box when I took it off, so it should go right back in the same spot. Just that, and put the nut on there and tighten it down. And then I'm going to be ready to get actually start fitting the CPP spindles on the truck. And the something I never really messed with before is the Kingpins. But what I liked about the CPP that I didn't know was going to be like this was they already put the bushings in and already have it reamed out too for you. Otherwise, you have to buy that reamer for the Kingpins. I've seen people hammer them in before without having them reamed, but you really want to get make sure they're in there nice and smooth and everything. So let me go ahead and get those out, get that Pitman arm put on, and I'll be back. All right, guys, here's the left side for the CPP kit. It comes all kind of complete. You got your rotors and your calipers and your kingpins right there, your brake hoses. So basically, it gives you everything you need. But I think for right now, since I'm not needing brakes, I'm not ready for brakes, I'm going to go ahead and take the calipers off and leave them off, then come back to it later on when I'm ready to install the brakes for this truck. So I'm going to go ahead and get that taken off, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and put the kingpins into the spindles. And usually in your kit, you should have your kingpin, of course, a bearing, some bushings, but I'm not going to use these bushings because they put the brass bushings in there. And I guess they must give you a cheaper kit because I'm not going to be using those because those are already pushed in. And then you got your spacers that goes on the top right here. It takes up any slack, and a little keeper right here that goes through that hole I was talking about earlier. Now, usually on your bearing, you'll have a spot that'll say top on it for it to go up, but this one didn't. But just going off of what I feel like is common sense, this being a bearing, you have that little groove where it's put together at right there. And I think if you would have that up, water and stuff would get in there and wouldn't get out. So I'm gonna feel like that this side should be the top, and put that, like I said, that little groove right there on the bottom. So what I'm going to do first is put some grease on the pin and kind of slide the bearing and the pin through the bottom bushing and kind of put it in place and figure out how many spacers I need. Now, like I said, my kit came with 4 spacers. I used 2 on the driver's side. I went ahead and did that side first because I wanted to make sure I can work through this fairly easy and see if there's any complications and stuff that I was going to run into. So I did that side and it went pretty good. I did it with the rotor on there, and it just was a lot harder to do it that way. So I went ahead and took it off on this side. So it'd be a little bit easier on me because it's just me out here working. So I'm gonna get a little bit of grease put in this and slide it through that bottom bushing. All right. I'm gonna try to put a little bit of grease on it too. One bad thing about this is it gets really greasy and real quick working on all this stuff. All right. Something else you need to be in mind of is the location of this groove right here. You want to make sure it's pointed where this hoe is for that keeper. What I'll probably do here in a minute, what I did on the last side was put a little line on it, and also there's a I don't know why I got one that has 2 grooves, but my original one only had 1 groove. I'm sure this kit's for several different years, but you want the long side of it down, and we're going to end up using this top groove on this truck. But what I like to do is take a Sharpie and put a little mark on top so I can keep location of it, so I don't get it twisted around when I'm putting it in there and everything. It makes it a lot easier to keep up where that groove's at. And you can go on DJM's website, and they got a really good video and stuff you can watch on doing all this. All right. Just kind of get it all lined up. That's the hard part. All right, I got it into place on the bottom. Now what you want to do, I'm going to get and put some stuff under here to keep this pin from falling out on me. That's what I did on the other side, and it made it a little bit easier. Otherwise, it kind of move it just right, it'll fall right out. Unless you got your bushings really tight. So go ahead and put that there to kind of keep it from falling out if it drops down again. And now what you want to do is take your spacers, figure out how many you're going to need. I'm hoping I don't need no more than 2 because that's all I have, and it worked out perfect on the other side. All right, just kind of pull up on it, and I think that's going to work out just perfect because I can barely squeeze those in there. So I think that's going to work out on this side too. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little grease on them. All nice and greased up so they can slide in there really well. And at least on this part of it, the up and down, you can order more spacers, or keep your old ones when you take them out, because they'll probably be reusable. And plus, if you're going to be just doing kingpins on an old spindle, you probably got a lot of wear, so you're probably going to use more spacers. This is all brand new, being the new I-beam and brand new spindle. All right, so I'm gonna come to this side, work these in. All right, I think I got it pretty lined up. I really don't feel no slop up and down, so I'm gonna put a little more grease in the bushing now. I'll probably put a little bit more on the actual kingpin itself. All right, now I can see my Sharpie mark. Kind of work it back up through here. Okay, I got it slid all the way through. Now you want to take your old keeper here and slide it. It's kind of tapered right here. You'll slide it from the front because the nut and everything's going to get be right here where it's recessed. Sometimes you kind of have to work this around a little bit. I went a little too high with it. Looks pretty close. Now, if you're trying to put this in without reaming out your new bushings or whatever, or don't ream it out enough, you might be fighting it pretty hard, especially if you don't get your groove in the right spot here. Felt like I just felt it kind of clicked in there a little bit. Still not quite lined up right. Push up on it a little bit as I try pushing it in there, see if it goes in better. It's hard to tell if it's too high, too low. I mean, it looks like it's in a good spot, but you'll know when you finally get it right. Well, getting go in a little bit. Right now, I'm not really going in much. It looks like it's not engaging right. I don't know if I need to turn the kingpin a little bit more. Try that right there. See if that helps. Turn it just a hair, see if it helps line it back up. Really didn't have that hard of a time on the driver's side. Yeah, still not wanting to engage. I'm not going to sit here and make y'all watch this. I'll get and come back when I got it into the groove. All right, I got it in the groove. Seemed like right after I told y'all I was going to have y'all sit there and watch that for me struggle for a little while, it went right in. So now you just go ahead and put your lock washer and your nut on, and that's basically it. So it's pretty easy. So let me go ahead and get this kind of put back together. I'll be back in a little bit. All right, guys, next thing I'm going to install is the drag link. It goes from the Pitman arm right there over here to the passenger side spindle. So let me go ahead and get that put on there. All right, guys, when you're getting in, install the tie rod or the drag link, you got to use this extension that DJM gives you. You just put the star washer on top, slide it through where your tie rod or drag link would go, and then they provide this nut right here. You just put on there, tighten it down to about 65 foot-pounds, I believe is what they want. But with the way I'm putting this on there, probably kind of out of order on some things, but I'm going to take the drag link and actually kind of feed it through right here with this kind of swung out. Otherwise, I think you would take your spindle and set it in place with your drag link when you're in the middle of putting your Kingpin on. All right, let me see if I can go ahead and get that fed through there. All right, I want to go ahead and get the star washer on there. So I'm going to kind of go out a little bit far. Kind of work it in as I walk, bring it towards me. All right, got it right there. Really close with my Pitman arm. I think I'm gonna let that kind of hang for a minute. All right, now that I got this worked in there, I'm gonna go ahead and put the nut on, just so it won't fall out. And I don't have the drag link tightened up yet. I'm gonna go over and see if I can't get the Pitman arm in place. All right, let's see if I can kind of work this in place. I might need to turn this a little bit. All right. All right, that was not too bad. All right, now I got that. I'll go over to the passenger side and get it all tightened up. All right, I don't know if there's a particular location that the extension is supposed to be. There's a image of it being facing this direction. So I'm gonna get put it the way I saw it. Like I said, I don't know if it makes a difference or not. Have to find something to hold that. All right, guys, I got this all tightened down, but I got another problem. The drag link's wanting to bottom out on the adapter, and also my castle nut is going to be below the hole for the cotter pin, so might end up drilling that too. Let me go ahead and get this taken apart and fixed. I'll be back. All right, guys, I got this side all together. As you can see, I got the new hole drilled and everything. Everything's tight and torqued, so I'm ready to move over to the other side. All right, guys, next day, and I'm running into the same situation as I did yesterday. The tie rod and this extension is not wanting to play nice together. When you stick the ball joint into there, see it's bottomed out already. So I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did on the passenger side, cut a few threads off, drill the hose. So let me go ahead and get that done. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I kind of want to get you caught up where I'm at right now. I got the inner and outer tie rod and the sleeve connected together, and got it connected to the drag link. I'll show that to you real quick. All right, like I just said, got the sleeve and the tie rods connected together onto the drag link. Now I need to come over here and put my tie rod extension right here and connect my ball joint to it, and then we'll be basically all caught up to the other side. All right, guys, I got everything back together as much as I can. I could not get the shocks on there because I don't think there's enough weight on this truck. Uh, I tried. I tried putting weight on front of the truck. Me and my wife both sat on the end of it, and it compressed the springs down, and I was able to get the nut started. But as soon as I got and started tightening the shock up, it started compressing the top bushing out, and wasn't even touching the bottom one. And it just kept on getting more and more compressed. So I was really worried about over compressing that top bushing. So I just stopped, took it back off. I'm gonna have to wait till I get the engine in there, I guess, get some more weight on this truck. Because like I said, there's nothing on the front of this truck. So um, that's probably the reason why these springs aren't compressing so much, because I don't have any of the sheet metal, the motor, nothing. So I'll have to get and just wait on putting the shocks on till later. I'm gonna go ahead and show this to you real quick. I think everything turned out pretty good, and I want to show you what I picked up at St. Louis Salvage yesterday to put on the front of this truck to get it back into a roller. All right, guys, like I said, I picked these up yesterday at St. Louis Salvage. I wasn't really looking for these. I was looking for some steel wheels for some temporary rollers, but I couldn't find any that would fit my truck. And the ones that probably would fit my truck didn't have no tires on them, or they were underneath the truck holding it up. So Sammy gave me a good price on these, so I went ahead and picked them up. Let's go ahead and throw a couple of them on the front of this truck real quick. All right, guys, I feel like I got another big accomplishment done this weekend. Got it back on all four wheels. You know, I wasn't really going to go this far with this truck. I was just going to take the old suspension off, clean it up, new bushings and stuff like that, until I found out that way the former owner got and cut the springs would cause geometry problems with the tires and wear them real bad. So I wanted to make sure it was done right. So I didn't wear tires out all the time because they're not cheap. Other than that, if you've gotten something from this video, can you give me a thumbs up or leave a comment. And if you are able to, just go ahead and subscribe. It doesn't cost nothing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.